Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you've been reading the headlines throughout 2025 and 2026, you might be feeling, well, a little uneasy. We're seeing a massive wave of white-collar job losses sweeping across the nation. So today, we're going to investigate what's actually happening. We're going to look past the PR statements to uncover the real data and the real stories behind all those empty desks. It's a big question on everyone's mind, isn't it? Is AI really coming for your job? Unless you're a tradesperson or healthcare worker, the prevailing narrative right now is that you should be deeply nervous. Over the last several months, companies have been shedding white-collar jobs at an absolutely staggering rate. And the reason they're giving us? Artificial intelligence. It's a bold, honestly slightly terrifying narrative that tech companies are aggressively pushing to explain why thousands of desks are suddenly empty. But is it the whole truth? Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The AI layoff myth. Tech's convenient excuse. We're seeing massive, high-profile workforce cuts at major tech firms. We're talking Amazon, Salesforce, Pinterest, Meta, Block, and the explanation from the top floor is incredibly consistent. The corporate narrative sounds exactly like this quote, claiming that tools like ChatGPT and Claude have created such a massive surge in productivity that human workers are simply becoming obsolete. They're painting this futuristic picture where one person equipped with AI can replace an entire team. I mean, it sounds efficient, right? It sounds like a perfectly logical reason to let thousands of people go. But the actual data tells a very, very different story. Take a look at this number, 0.01%. According to the highly respected Penn-Wharton budget model, that is the estimated boost to productivity that AI actually provided in 2025. Quite the visual whiplash from the CEO hype, isn't it? Furthermore, in a survey of over 6,000 senior business executives, a massive 90% reported absolutely no impact to productivity or employment from AI. So, on a macroeconomic level, economists have yet to see this supposedly revolutionary technology actually move the needle in any meaningful way. Which brings us to Section 2, the productivity paradox, a historical pattern. To really understand why the billions being poured into AI aren't yielding the time or money savings we've been promised, we have to look at something called the productivity paradox. This is an economic theory that states just because a new technology is incredibly powerful, it doesn't instantly mean companies know how to use it efficiently. When you drop a revolutionary tool into an existing corporate system, it takes a vast amount of time for that system to adapt. There's this immense period of trial and error, which, ironically, actively creates wasted time and wasted money in the short term. And this brilliantly illustrates a pattern we've actually seen play out before. Back in the 1970s and 80s, U.S. companies poured massive amounts of money into information technology. We transitioned from typewriters and credit card imprinters straight to word processors and point-of-sale terminals. You'd think the time saved would immediately skyrocket productivity, wouldn't you? But for the next 25 years, productivity growth actually slowed down. We're seeing that exact same delayed productivity pattern happening naturally with the AI boom today. If you want to see what that trial and error looks like right now, there's a staggering MIT study showing 95% of AI pilot programs in the workplace have completely failed. Only 5% are successful. I mean, we've all seen the headlines about fast food restaurants having to literally scrap their AI drive-through ordering systems, or help centers being forced to rehire human operators because their customer service bots were just infuriating callers. Implementing AI is incredibly difficult, and the reality is most companies are failing at it right now. That naturally leads us to Section 3, the rise of work-slave and the human cost. So what actually happens when white-collar workers are forced into this messy trial and error phase? The expectation sold by CEOs is this rocket ship of streamlined tasks. The reality, however, is a phenomenon people are calling work slop. Workers are reporting being forced to use AI even when they really don't want to. And as a result, studies show that teams using AI actually take longer to finish tasks, and the quality of the work actively suffers. Think of that universal frustration of having to spend your entire afternoon fixing a coworker's mistakes. That is exactly what this work slop creates. It requires extensive quality control on the back end, completely negating any time initially saved. Let's look at the financial tech firm Block as a concrete example here. Company heads bragged about a 40% increase in code production thanks to AI. Sounds amazing on paper, right? But an astounding 95% of that AI-produced code wasn't up to standard and had to be altered by human coders, resulting in a 91% actual increase in human review time. Engineers are spending way less time writing code and entirely more time fixing sloppy AI code. This is fueling massive feelings of burnout, resentment, and job dissatisfaction all across the tech industry. So, the crucial question we have to ask is this. If AI is actually slowing workers down, creating all this work slop, and failing 95% of the time in pilot programs, what is the real reason executives are so eager to point the finger at it when announcing mass layoffs? Why claim a technology is replacing workers when the data clearly shows it just isn't there yet? Let's pull back the curtain. Section 4, Unmasking AI Washing and the True Incentives. When we synthesize the geopolitical and economic landscape, we get this objective checklist of real motives. First, companies are desperately trying to cover up their massive pandemic-era overhiring spree. Second, they are actively pumping their stock market valuations. Third, they're trying to appease antsy investors by using exciting, futuristic buzzwords. And finally, there's a political element at play. Blaming layoffs on a sluggish economy or tariffs can attract a lot of unwanted political scrutiny from the White House. Strategically speaking, it's just much safer for a company to paint a rosy picture of technological efficiency than to admit to economic struggles. This strategic sleight of hand actually has a name. It's called AI washing. It's the deceptive practice of using AI as a convenient excuse for layoffs that are actually just normal market corrections. Think back to the pandemic for a second. We were all stuck indoors, glued to our screens. Tech companies went on an absolute hiring spree to meet that temporary demand. Today, they simply don't need that much staff, but instead of admitting they overhired, they use AI as the perfect scapegoat to let people go. Now, what's really interesting is the direct financial reward for this tactic. It's staggering. Look at Block again. After suffering from a declining valuation for several months, the very moment CEO Jack Dorsey announced their supposedly AI-driven layoffs, the stock price jumped 20%. Put yourself in their shoes. If you're a CEO, would you rather tell shareholders your sales are down, which tanks your stock, or tell them you're embracing the future of technology, which sends your stock soaring? It's an incredibly easy choice. Let's zoom out to the macroeconomic scale for Section 5, the billion-dollar bluff and how it's propping up the economy. This macroeconomic picture reveals a massive tech bubble. You have a company like OpenAI, which is pre-profit, meaning they literally haven't figured out how to make money yet. And yet, their market valuation is higher than legacy, dependably profitable brands like Netflix, Chevron, or McDonald's. Investors right now are far less interested in how a company is doing today and entirely focused on how they're positioned for tomorrow. And right now, absolutely nothing screams future louder than AI. But here is the massive catch. The promise CEOs made 3 years ago when ChatGPT launched was that AI would be the most revolutionary technology since the combustion engine. Hundreds of billions of dollars have been raised on that exact promise. In fact, some estimates suggest the entire American economy is currently being propped up by AI-related spending. But the requirement for a return on investment that huge is incredibly dark. It actually has to eliminate millions of jobs just to justify the cost. The pressure on executives to deliver on this promise is immense, and investors are starting to get really antsy because, well, the numbers just aren't there yet. Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought. As we watch this massive corporate bluff play out, we really have to ask ourselves, do these CEOs actually believe that massive, job-replacing productivity gains are right around the corner? Or are they utilizing AI washing simply to keep the investment party going just a little while longer? Definitely keep this in mind the next time you see a massive layoff announcement in the news. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope it helped bring some clarity to what is a very complex topic. Never stop learning, and I'll see you next time.